pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Here.
Mr. Pollock?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Call?
Here.
Mr. Keith?
Here. We move into our department reports. Laura, do you have anything on the financials?
Debbie, I think basically what we've done is you continue to reconcile the books and you're just tracking along, is that correct?
Right, I have successfully reconciled the whole $53 million of FEMA money to the cap. So I know exactly how to reimburse it to the fund. So that's progress.
Excellent, thank you very much. And what the general population doesn't know, that $53 million comes in and goes into the pool account, but it really needs to go into the water account for the water projects. It needs to go to the sewer department for the sewer projects, sanitary, and so on and so on. So what she's done is actually a very big task, taking all those projects and putting them into the right fund. So thank you, Debbie.
Correct.
So, can we ask questions?
Certainly.
So how do you feel about water now, Debbie? How's water looking? They're not still in the red as much, right?
They've, there's like $300,000 reduced, but they're still in the red.
Yeah, but they,
There's still another piece of I that needs to get done, the reconciliation of the actual expenses and stuff. So that's another thing that's gonna reduce that deficit.
good, but they were a lot, so that's better news. Thank you.
Right.
Anything else?
I believe that's it on it, Kelly.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Sandy, you have anything?
Nothing significant other than the fact that Kevin has been working extremely hard to get all the items back up and running, and we're all but there now. So that basic, I mean, we got some that weren't ready to go before the storm, which are back in service now. So fire protection wise, the city's in good standing, and for ISO as well when they come to do their next inspection, so to speak. Other than that, things are pretty much the same as they have been, keeping up the calls and doing what we need to do. Thanks, sir.
Okay, questions? Marty, what you got?
Everything's running smoothly, sir. Nothing to report.
That's all. Any questions for police? That's awesome to have nothing to report.
You're not still hanging out at the Overstreet area, are you?
We'll take care of the law next week.
Do we have anything from building?
Tina is at a conference today, so she regretfully is not here.
Okay. Kathy?
Yes, sir. We've got approximately 4 lots that have been cleared. All the trees are down, cleaning them all up. We've got about 4 or 5 RVs that have vacated their property. And I think there's been a couple more that have come in and sent in their building permits. That's about it. Oh, we did have a special master meeting back on the 15th for 3 pieces of property. One at 115 Maryland, 203 Louisiana, and North 36th Street, Mr. McLean's house. And Gary and Nancy Beach, how do you pronounce their last name? One over on 36th Street, they sided with the owner. And then the other 2, Jim's gonna go further on with that. I guess he's gonna start putting the liens down on their taxes.
Could you refresh our memory or mind 96th Street,
God's house.
excuse me?
God's
Oh,
house.
God's house?
Yes, sir. It's off of his property, it's onto another person's property.
Well, that's on the FEMA list. All right, and the other two, you say there's additional work or additional information gathered, or?
Yeah, they've not responded to any of the things that we've sent to them. So, Jim's gonna proceed further. He said there's like a 30-day notice that he has to do. And, then he'll proceed with, I think he's gonna file tax liens against them on the property.
How does that work? If it's tax lien, if you don't do any work on the property, what's the tax lien gonna do?
The lien would be, initially be for any fines. If the city does go do cleanup work, a better option would be to file assessments on the property for that work. But for just pure fines, the lien is the more appropriate approach.
Okay. And what's involved legally, is that just a notification to the tax assessor's office?
We just record the order of the special master, I believe.
All right. Question for Code or Kathy?
The next step, after Jim goes through with this, and Nick, I reckon be you, what would be the next step after we did what Jim's doing now? Leaning, then the city.
On the two that the city prevailed on, the options are, do nothing and watch fines accrue and file a lien, or the city, if it has funding, can go do the work itself and seek to get the money recovered through assessments on the property.
Do the fines increase or can they increase?
I haven't seen the order, but I think it's set so that the owners have a certain amount of time to fix the problem, and then it's a daily fine at that point if they have not. I think they've gotten one initial fine already, and then they have, was it 30 days? And once that's elapsed, it goes to a daily fine that will start accruing a lot more heavily.
And we have heard a response from them, Kathy, any response at all from Chick? That's what I know. Yeah.
Which two properties are these that went to the special master meeting?
The Jackson, one is the mobile home that's over on 15th Street that's cut in half. And then they have another mobile home on Louisiana, it's 203 Louisiana. That's another piece of
Oh, are
property.
you saying, so it's the same owner?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
It's my welcome center and then the two houses behind me.
is that the same Joe guy? Is that the guy that lives in St. Louis? Or lives?
We've got an address there and then it moved to Tampa and then they can't, been no communication with them. They've not responded. They can't find, I think now they got him in Tampa. Is that where you found his address was, Kathy?
That was one of them, yes, sir.
He's a lawyer.
It sounds like that'd be a decision to just clean it up ourselves.
That's right.
That's
When it comes down to it.
We're headed to that.
I agree.
Okay. All right, well, all we can do is stand by then. Are there any more, special master,
I'm working on a few more.
people coming up?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Tommy, what you got?
Good morning, Mayor,
Good
Council. At the last meeting, Rocky brought up about getting the sign put down at the boat ramp for canal open or closed. We got that put up down there now. He said he'd send it already. That'll help if anybody comes in before they pay the fee to go out and can't get out of the canal, they'll know. So did get that done. We're continuing, on the sidewalk project. We're about halfway down now. I've got the city crews, down cleaning the sidewalks that are not gonna be replaced, that are in good shape. They're cleaning all those off now, so when this thing's all wrapped up, everything's gonna be good all the way down. Also, we had a citizen call about a big tree on, between Fifth and Seventh Street, Maryland Parkway, that was dead. Crews went down, we took the tree down, ground the stump up, and it's gone. Got that took care of. So if anybody's listening that has, any trees that are on the city right of way that need to be taken down, they'll contact me. We'll make sure we get those down before they fall on something. Also, since the last meeting, we've got some installed no commercial traffic signs along Fifth Street, Colorado, New Mexico. I had some complaints about the residents down there, a lot of trucks going down trying to turn around on Colorado, New Mexico, so we've got those signs up also. Continuing the stump grinding throughout the city. Also, for the month of January so far, sanitation's collected 115,960 pounds of trash so far. And like I said a while ago, we started the beach renourishment project that got kicked off yesterday. They are hauling sand now already, so kind of keep everybody in the loop. There'll be a lot of trucks up and down the highway. They are coming off the beach, down off Miramar, going down on the beach there where Sunset Park is. That's where they'll be going down to distribute sand. So that's actually kicked off. Other than that, just doing normal public work stuff throughout the city.
Okay. Any questions on public works?
Yeah, Tommy, Mario, thank you for getting that stuff done, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. You're welcome, Rock. That was a good idea.
I hate to ask about street signs now. Are you wanna get them from me?
Mario may want to address that. He told me the other day that Nick, I think has turned it over to Nick to see if we can get out of that contract. The guy has never called me back. When he called me the last time and I emailed Mario, he couldn't get the street signs. I guess he didn't have the money to get the pay to have the street signs brought in. The only thing he could do was get the post. So, I tried calling him twice since then, and back like he won't answer my calls. So I'm taking it he's probably not gonna be able to get our street signs. That's where I think it's at now.
We have to get out of the contract before we
We're
go.
terminating the contract, and then I will get with Blueberry to repost the signage, RFQ. So it should be just finding the old documents and then
Yeah,
re-advertising.
I can't recall, was the contract sent to me? I'm confident that we can get out in certain cases, but we're gonna review it.
We'll get you a copy of it if we don't, we have.
Okay. Anything else? What about utility? I don't see.
He's not in that behind.
Oh, there he is, okay. What you got, Kevin?
It's like the fire chief said, working on fire hydrant project, got a lot of hydrants that were bad replaced, and we furnished materials that I had actually in the yard for some of that. So that kept costs down, get hydrants back functioning again. You can see we had 189 locates last month. When, 6 service line breaks, 6 turnoffs, 29 service requests for water, service requests for sewer, 8, 3 door hangers, 2 data log reports, and 170 rereads last month. And we're still there at 23 connections. We haven't went up on that yet. That might change this month, I'm assuming, with the new meters going in. So, and then, we got the break that we're working on getting pricing, get that back up and working at the canal.
And MX1, you installed the additional
Well,
pump.
no, that's true. And I'm sorry about that. We did put the third pump in. It came back repaired and it's in.
We threw an MX1 in, it's up, all motors is in.
And they're in the process of putting the SCADA system in the Hawk. So, it goes
So,
my phone.
all
so
goes
after we
communication.
shop it, I'll know.
How did the, I forget the name of that, we were gonna put some kind of sanitation deodorant, like a better, I don't know, out there to work?
Yeah, we put the Hyvian out there with the liquid deodorizer, and that works good for your winter months, but when we start getting real hot again, it's probably not gonna work effectively. We're gonna have to look at something more permanent. Moving forward with that.
And Mayor, to give you a little bit more detail on the water break and the fix. So the directional bore that's underneath the canal got hit by a sheet pile. That severed a 6-inch line. Right now, we have a price for a 6-inch high-density propylene line to go across the bridge. We've got permission from DOT. We've got permission from DEP to do that temporary fix. The price is 6-inch for 6-inch, which is the logical thing to do. What we're trying to do right now is get a price to go to a 2-inch or to go to a 4-inch, just to see if we can save some money. I mean, at 6-inch, it's $26,000. I can't say that it'll be proportionately less because the install is still the install. It's just gonna be the difference between 6-inch pipe to 2-inch pipe. The 2-inch pipe leaves me a little apprehensive, mainly because we have 4 functioning homes. We have 2 homes under construction. We have the Welcome Center, and then we have a house under construction, and then we have the Welcome Center under construction and the pavilion under construction. So give or take, you could potentially have 10 units that are working off a 2-inch line. That might be a little much for all of that. So that's why we're also pricing an alternate for a 4-inch line that gives us a little bit of comfort. Fire-wise, the fire department can run hoses. They've got over 1,000 feet of hose they can make do. So fire-wise, we feel comfortable that we can make do. In the meantime, I'm working with the St. Joe Company because their project for the apartments requires a 10-inch water line going to that location. If we can get them to install that 10-inch water line sooner than they normally would need it, it will offset the city having to do a directional bore underneath the canal. So I am working with them. It's actually their drawings that they would have implemented in a quicker mode. So right now, that's a work in progress, and they took the call. They understood our urgency, and we're working with their engineers to help expedite things to the best of our ability. I hope to get a price for the 2-inch and 4-inch before the end of this meeting so that I can get that approved by y'all, because I can't approve anything over about $3,000 without your approval. Right now, the only firm price that I have that is on the low side, because I've got 2 prices. I've got a $59,000 price to go to cast iron, and I've got a $26,000 price to go to the high-density propylene, but it's a 6-inch. I'd like to give credit to everybody. Kevin's been doing everything he can to get pricing. Dewberry's been doing everything they can. Their engineers have bent over backwards. We even had a jackleg engineered version that I gave that might have worked, but wouldn't pass the permitting process to do it with fire hoses just to get some water pressure to those homes. But unfortunately, that didn't work out. But we had all those materials lined up between Sandy and the other fire department. So again, a lot of work's gone on to it. Hopefully, we'll have those homes pressurized in the next day or so.
Who pays for the fix? City of Mexico Beach?
Yes.
We didn't bust the pipe.
We gave a locate, the locate showed it here. The pipe ended up being here. We're talking about a pipe that is bored from 300 feet away, and it's 40 some odd feet deep. Our locate is only as accurate as our locate is.
Well, and I'm not trying to get a bunch of junk started, but they were told to cut it off. If they'd have cut it off, they would have hit it. They were told to shorten it. And when I went out there, Jeff said they were about 4 feet or so, 5 feet maybe, and then they hit it. When they went that last little 4 or 5 feet is when they hit it. So if they would have done like Kevin asked them to cut it off 12 feet, that's when they hit it. If they'd have cut it off 12 feet, they wouldn't have hit it. I'm just saying.
I don't know if engineering wise if they could cut it off or not. Again, it's outside of, it's hindsight and I don't know that they could cut it off, so.
Do you know if the design documents showed a depth,
So what?
the depth? I mean, would the design documents have said to
I have not seen the design documents, and I don't know that with a bore, that they'll be able to give you a very accurate or really accurate depth on how it goes. They may be able to, but that stuff has advanced a lot since I've messed with it.
The plan showed the bore being 40 feet deep, and it was a 32-foot pile. So the bore was higher than.
So we should have missed it by 8 feet if the bore would have been right. And that was by the original people that put it in.
That's the records that we had, yeah.
Well, I mean, I just think it's a shame that we have to pay all of that when we didn't hit it and it was supposed to have been 40 feet deep. You know, I don't have a solution to it either, I'm just saying.
Well, you can't go back to the people that's supposedly done 40 feet deep, I mean, where do you go?
We could look back at that, but does anyone even know when that pipe was installed?
I do not know.
The people that are doing the fix, are they the same contractor?
We've got two prices, one from the contractor that is doing the work at the marina, and the other is a completely separate contractor.
Which one is the one doing the work at the marina? Is that the low one or the high one?
The highway.
But it's a different material too. Cast iron.
They went to cast iron versus the other group went to HMPP.
What were you doing? Right. But I got a couple of questions. Why are we running that big heavy pipe? Because that is very expensive. That bowl pipe, what I think is what you call it. Why can't we run like if this is gonna be a temporary fix?
You have to have something rigid up there, because if they can happen on that bridge, car wreck or anything, hit that pipe, and something's gonna hold up, while it's laying up on that bridge, you know, something blowing apart, the car go by either.
When the county did their temporary fix on the Hathaway Bridge, they ended up going with cast iron pipe. Their fix ended up having to stay there for over a year. Right now, I can't tell you how long this fix will be there. I'd love for it only to be there for 2 or 3 weeks, but I can't promise that it'll be 2 or 3 months or 5 or 6 months. We're at the mercy of other people and other agencies
So you're saying?
for the permanent fix.
Yeah, so it may only be there for a certain amount of time because St. Joe may get the permits and go ahead and be able to bore.
The current schedule for St. Joe to start those townhomes is 3 months. So they would need that line at least within 3 months. But if they're willing to expedite, as soon as we get the DOT permit, I mean, they could be on it.
So essentially, we gotta do 4 houses, 5 houses, actually?
It's 4
in this
permanent
program.
houses, 3 construction sites, and welcome center.
Well, construction sites are nice. I've built a lot of places without.
They drink body water.
Well, I mean, I'm just, gee whiz, if we can figure out how to keep those folks in water for a little while, I mean, is there a cheaper way to do that? I mean, I just hate to lose $26,000 when it wasn't even our fault. And I'm not saying we need to jump in there and, point fingers and make somebody pay for it. I'm just saying, have we looked at all avenues of getting those people water? I mean, surely there are tankers or tanks that are trailers that have potable water that we could hook up. Is that not?
If you live there, would you want somebody bringing a tank of water in there?
Well,
These people pay taxes.
yeah, I'm not saying that they don't, Bobby, I'm just saying that if there's a viable.
I know what you're
alternative.
saying, I understand, I agree with you. But I also agree we gotta take care of these people.
No, I am not saying no, I'm not saying that we don't take care of the people, we've already done everything we could so far, we've taken them water so far, but
Purified water.
Mario, let's fast forward past the temporary fix. What's the permanent fix?
The permanent fix is these drawings that are already done for, the St. Joe Company, which is a 10-inch directional bore that starts at 42nd and goes all the way to the other side of the Welcome Center with a 10-inch.
Or is we just gonna tap that line, is that what
Yes,
you're
sir.
saying?
All we would do is, again, keep in mind, what feeds the south side of 98 is a 10-inch line, so they're extending that 10-inch line beyond us. We would tap in with our 6-inch and backfeed our stuff. It doesn't hurt them, and it keeps us from having to do a new directional bore, which is a big cost, which, again, if St. Joe Company weren't there, we'd really be in a world of hurt.
And this is something they have to do, this is part of that, as you just said,
It's
Dave,
part of
3
their
months, roughly 3 months they're planning to get started, so. Well, I'm not saying that we aren't, I wanna echo, I'm with Darryl, this, whatever gets us by the least amount of money to get that. And I mean, we do have to serve those homes, and move on.
That's my reason about the pipe. I mean, that pipe you're talking about against Schedule 80 pipe is a lot. And I know the reason what you said about the wreck and all, for 3 months. And tapping into these water lines and that $50-something thousand for a temporary fix. But the main thing here we got, in my opinion, is we have to get these people water. That's our number one, as a city, is get these people, and to get it as cheaply as we can, and get it fixed. So whatever we got to do, and really, in my opinion, we should have done, but when they hit it Friday, we should have had it. We shouldn't let the city be without water. People be without water when they can fish.
Well, hopefully we wouldn't ever have to use it again, but Kevin, can we use this, once the temporary fix is done, can we use this pipe?
I mean, the contractor did some before another pipe somewhere, you could probably reuse it, or if we had another problem again, we could use it as a temporary line somewhere.
But we're talking about going over the bridge.
We're just gonna lay it on top of the flat down on the bridge right now.
That pipe when it lays in the sun, the whole pipe. Because the sun.
All right, sir, do we wanna, are we ready to move on? We got one.
I want you to fix the pipe. That's what we need to do. Whatever, moving on, I know, but whatever we got to do to fix it as cheaply as possible,
Well,
as quickly as possible.
hopefully you can get some information for the meeting, then we'll be able to decide a little more about it.
yeah, you're waiting on an email now, right? I told him to run it through, whenever it can, go ahead and run it through, because we know what it was, we need to see it.
Okay, so we may circle back to that down the road.
Yes, sir.
Or before we leave. Okay.
We should definitely come back to that, because while it qualifies as emergency purchase, Mario at least needs the authorization to spend some money.
Okay, we'll do that. All right, David, what you got?
Yes, sir. Well, as Tommy's list of under construction grows longer, mine grows shorter. I've got 2 updates. The beach, DOT landscaping, that bid opening is Thursday, so we'll see where we end up with that. We made the adjustments per the comments from the DOT, basically eliminated the permanent irrigation and just put the responsibility of irrigating the plants for the 2-year maintenance period on the contractor. And the boat launch expansion, we're working on the Corps of Engineers permit. Mario has the Water Management District permit. I owe him a permit drawing before we get that signed, but we're moving along with that.
Now, the core permit, is that just,
This is formality.
I was gonna say, that's surely, I mean,
Yeah, that whole area was, that canal.
already permitted.
Right, yeah, that whole area from the canal where the boats launch, that's all man-made, so they've already permitted that one time, so It's just a formality for record.
Formality with them can be you.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Two updates within his realm of the world. We got our bids in for the street resurfacing. And we're still waiting on answers from FEMA on whether or not we can, utilize funds from the main project to do the large areas of resurfacing versus the patchwork of resurfacing. So until we get that answer, I hate to release anybody to do any work, because the lower price within the bid was the larger sections. So until we get that, and again, we got the price on Thursday or Friday, I'd like to wait until the next meeting to give council recommendation. And we also had one of the bidders had some questionable issues, so engineering is looking at that. So we've got that. And then I would like to give kudos to Dewberry and the team. We had a follow-up meeting on the dredge work in the canal system. FEMA was saying that we were only entitled to 11,000 cubic yards of dredge for the balance of the work that goes on in the canal. And between Dewberry, Adkins, and ACDC, they argued the point to the point of 23,588 cubic yards. So we've got a lot more dredging, almost twice what FEMA was suggesting. So that project, once we get this memorialized, we should be able to go back out and do the balance of the dredging in the canal to get to an average of 6 feet throughout the balance of the canal. But a lot of work is done on that survey, resurvey, calculate, recalculate. Just wanted to do that update. And the bids range from the low bid for the alternate was $624,000. The low bid for the patchwork was $1,354,000. So some combination therein, because we have $1.5 million to work with.
Okay, so you're coming back to us on the roads.
Correct. Next meeting, I hope to give
After
you
showing all that.
what portion of road section we're doing, and then what portion of patchwork we're doing.
I want to just comment, when you mentioned about the canal, project that I've been involved in for over 20 months now. And kudos and thank you seem really insignificant and doesn't qualify to me the amount of work that's going on, and that some of you, I know you all are familiar with the quote dredging project, but it has been the most heavily scrutinized thing that I've ever been involved in from FEMA, about documentation, methodology, all of the things that they say that we didn't do correctly. And I just can't thank enough. Dewberry, and you know, they always give us a price and scope of work, and in this case, they did some things on quick order in order to respond to the dredging. I want to thank them for that. Josh, he just responded. That's all I can say. The commitment to our city was obvious, that they were willing to roll up their sleeves and help us get the job done. There was no scope of work submitted. There was just, it had to get done. And they did it, and I want to thank them for that, for the surveying that went on, for the FEMA requirement. For Dina Batista, you can't say enough about what she did. FEMA put us through the ringer on this project, and in the end, we prevailed, but it only came through a lot of hard work. The administrator, it was easy to throw in the towel with what they were asking of us to do, and he didn't do that. And in the end, we have what will amount to a significant amount of dredging to put our canal back in place. And
all of you know, when this storm came, I always thought the pictures were worth 1,000 words. I never dreamed that our canal would become such a battleground when it was so obvious what had happened to it. But it did that way, and to the Atkins Group, to Dewberry, to Dina, and to our administrator, a big thank you for a job well done. It was not easy. So I want to make sure that for those that are listening, those of you here, that sometimes the commitment to the job goes beyond what you always just think, well, that's what you're paid to do. In this case, it was an endless amount of information that we were being requested to provide. All right, any other anything for Dewberry? All right, moving on. We have next is our regular agenda item. Resolution 21-03. Do we have a motion to read by title only?
Make a motion to read resolution 21-03 by title only.
Okay, Ms. Nancy, please.
A resolution of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, approving change order number 1 to the city's agreement with Roberts and Roberts, Inc. for the dedicated beach parking repair project, resulting in a decrease in contract price in the amount of $7,999.87.
Okay, before we adopt, is there any explanation that needs to be part of the record?
Mayor, typically, the city carries a fund to, for things that happen during construction. It's 10%, and if those funds never get tapped into, this is pretty standard to get those funds at the tail end of the project. So, contractor was efficient, drawings were good, and we got it done for the price.
Motion to adopt.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2103.
Second.
Have a motion second. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Call?
Yes.
Mr. Peak?
Yes.
Next is 2104. Do I have a motion to read by title only?
Make a motion to read resolution 2104 by title only.
Second.
Have a motion second. Please read, Nancy.
A resolution of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, approving change order number 2 to the city's agreement with North Florida Construction, Inc. for the Oleander Avenue potable water main project, resulting in a decrease in contract price in the amount of $57,123.42.
Thank you. Is this a very similar?
Very, very similar. We did use a little bit of those funds to do some additional taps here and there, but again, a substantial savings on this project.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt?
Make a motion to adopt resolution 21-04.
Motion second. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Call?
Yes.
Mr. Peak?
Yes.
Okay. Next is number 3. Mario, I assume that's you?
Yes, sir. Number 3 is the Cat Z.
Yeah.
We have, again, I spent some time talking to Atkins with AC Design, and also troubleshooting things with the state. We did get an update that the state is reviewing the whole 50% cap. They hope to have an answer by the end of this week on hopefully relaxing that, and the direction that I've heard so far is relaxing it to the point that is equal to the amount that has been obligated. So if we have 85% obligated, their hope is for them to release 85% of the Cap Z money. So that's in the progress there. The other thing that the conversations with the consultant, talk to them about reducing their fees in the future, and if they can reduce any of their fees in the past. Reducing the fees in the past are a little more complicated because the year just ended. We haven't put that to bed completely, so they're still looking at that. But for fees in the future, challenge them with the fact that they're not doing as much travel as they would have done because of COVID. If they could reduce their fees, they're looking at reducing their fees by 15%. So fees forward are a 15% reduction, and they've also set themselves to a workload cap of trying to not go over $50,000 a month. Keep in mind, in some of our past billings, we were 200, 150, 170. We just now started to get to the 85, and our last bill was $67,000. So our goal is to draw that back down. Keep in mind, please keep in mind, the funds that go into this, the return is 95% of return on investment. So I would hate for us to reduce down to $50,000 a month and then all of a sudden start losing projects like a dredge project, start losing projects like a city pier, police station, fire station. So there's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, in some of these projects that are out here at the end, like police station, fire station, and the pier, are not easy projects. They're a heavy lift. We're also kicking into other portions where it's not part of the Cat Z. So please understand that $50,000 cap is a goal that we have as an overall cap. Goal is the key word, cap is the key word, but when HMGP kicks off, there's gonna be times, and those funds are reimbursed in different formats. So we currently owe Atkins to the tune of about $810,000, rough order of magnitude. I'd like for y'all to consider allowing a payment up to about, I'd like to at least cover a third of that. Those invoices are all the way back from May. They would really like to get paid up so that they're no more than 6 months out. A $300,000 payment would go a long way with, again, a group that has been understanding and allowing us to carry invoicing as far back as May.
Okay, so you're presenting a request for payment through Atkins for $300,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Comments?
So that's, do we know what part is Atkins and what part is ACDC?
Keep in mind, our contract is with Atkins, and ACDC is their subcontractor. It would be like me going to a general contractor, and their contract is with them, not with us.
Okay. But to answer the question, we don't know what they charge Atkins for their stuff.
It is broken out in the invoicing. Yes, sir.
But, you know, you were talking about the $50,000 cap and the fact that it would be bad to have a cap and lose out on some projects. Is it not, do we not have the ability to look at things individually like that? I mean, if we make a deal for $50,000 and we see that we're gonna lose something, can we not change the $50,000?
Most certainly. Again, that's why I said the 50,000 is a goal, and I'm sure that when we get into CDBG, HMGP, some of those projects are gonna kick in some major efforts further down the line where we are gonna have higher fees. It's just, again, we're trying to ratchet down so that we're not trying to just be responsible with the funds as they are.
Well, for me, it would be really nice if I could at least, you know, it's like the mayor said, and I don't disagree with him at all, that they played an integral part, but it still would be nice to know kind of where that stuff's going. I mean, so that you can kind of, because I don't really know. I mean, I know they're doing stuff, but what they're doing and what they're charging for what they're doing, I don't know that. And I just, I think it would be nice for us to be able to see that kind of stuff. You see that, right?
This is an example of one of their invoices. There's not a whole lot you decipher from that. It's, you know, each individual's work hours, and you can go back and look at all the meetings that we went through, and you can ask them for tickets and things like that. But again, the order of magnitude of what we're going through, there's probably 15 employees in that list. If you're working full-time on a monthly basis, you're talking about 160 hours per person, and you can see that there's only 3 or 4 people that typically run that 160-hour time frame. Most of a lot of the other people are in the 40, 50, 60-hour time frame. And again, a lot of that work is happening off-site, somebody reconciling tickets, reconciling photos, reconciling GPS points. Some of the reconciliation that they're doing is from 2018, 2019. There's gotta be, I wish that it said this was for, you know, the fire station, this was for the pier. It's not broken down in that level of detail.
Well, I mean, you know, we got data entry right here is billed at $110 an hour. That's a pretty good data entry.
That was a contract that was signed back in 2018, 2019.
There was also conversation back in October, November of 2018 about some kind of structure where the city would only pay from reimbursed funds, and that's not how the contract ended up being written. I remember having conversations with Atkins. There were multiple reasons why you couldn't set it up that way, but the main obvious one is that we get reimbursements from the agencies in general after we've paid an invoice, so unless the agencies make exceptions, it's very rare you can get the money up front and then pay your contractors and consultants.
But the vast majority of what we owe them is reimbursed by either FEMA or grants or something, correct?
Again, right now, the biggest reason we're bringing this up is that the state has that 50% cap. Once we get to the point, this money will get reimbursed. This isn't that we're paying it, we won't get paid back. It's that we've got to pay it, and it'll be a while before we get paid back. Right now, the hope is that by the end of the week, maybe they raise that cap from 50% to 85%, but I can't promise that that's happening. That's part of what we're trying to deal with the state that they are looking at, and they have acknowledged that Mexico Beach is unique, but whatever rule they come up with, they can't make it so specific that it just works for Mexico Beach, because I guarantee Parker's in the same place, and Springfield and Callaway probably aren't far behind, and so on and so on. So they're looking at the overall overarching regulation and what it does to the other communities, looking to see if they can relax it to some degree.
And so these funds, that if we paid them the 300, that comes out of our what fund? Or is it mixed up?
Hold on a second, let me see. Debbie is still on the line, I believe, but the idea there is we do have funds that we have within the water department, sewer department, and public works that are reserve type funds. We can use those funds to cover these costs, and as long as those funds are replaced back into those funds, we can carry, you know, she did a quick layout of carrying $700,000 this year and $700,000 next year, and it doesn't put us into a problem situation. Again, she's borrowing money from a place that we've got it in reserves, as long as we replace those funds. And if what happens with the state happens in the next couple of weeks, then we go from 50% to 85%, which again replenishes some more funds.
If we go to 85%, then we're not gonna have this issue again for a while, probably.
It'll arise, you know, 8, 10, 12 months again. But again, if they move the 85% to the next 90% as we get projects obligated, it's.
And then we're getting closer to the end of the
So
storm.
100%, correct.
Is there a time limit on replacing the funds?
The scariest part of this whole thing is the end of the storm. When is the end of the storm? Well, we to some degree control the end of the storm, but, you know, we're looking at a police and fire station, and that's gonna be a while before that's completely done, but we're hopeful that it gets obligated in the not too distant future. The pier is one of those that's gonna get obligated probably a little further down the line. The jetty, you know, not too far down the line, but keep in mind, we're pacing ourselves on our city parks. We got so much going on right now, we can't keep track of it, but eventually eventually we've gotta do Parker Park, eventually we're gonna do the Seventh Street Park. So there are other projects, and again, with 30 people and funds trickling in and the funds that we have, I can't push the rope any harder.
Sharon, was your question if we use, let's say, $300,000 of water, sewer, and public works funds, is there a date on when those funds need to be
Yes,
replenished?
that's what
End of
I was
fiscal year or
asking.
something like that?
And Debbie, I don't know if they would need to be replenished within the fiscal year, as long as they get replaced.
Right, you control that, so, if you use those reserve funds, you would have to amend some of the resolutions we already have, to allow for that form, and then we could put a, time reimbursement in it there if you wanted to, like it has to be repaid within so many months or years.
Yeah, I just was wondering if it was gonna put the city in jeopardy with reserve funds and the time frame.
Oh, no, I would, yeah, I would never, I would recommend, this was just a, quick review of where the funds could come from. If, once it's established, it'll be definitely under $20,000, to get out. I can give you guys a listing or a better idea of where it comes from, the exact amount and how we pay it back over a period of time, so there's that comfort level. So if we do that, I can put that something to Mario to give to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, how much money does Mexico Beach owe? I mean, we say we have the money to pay this
How much
bill
money do
here.
you guys have?
Do we
What do we owe? I know we owe Crowd Bluff a pile.
I put. There is a question, what was the question again, Matt?
The question he's asking is, how much does the city of Mexico Beach owe everyone? And that's a very hard question to answer.
Can't be hard, Mario, we owe them, I mean, we have
Yeah,
to
I
pay.
don't have,
Okay,
yeah, I can't answer that question without getting some more information from Mario.
I know we can take the money from different things to get it, to pay it, but I don't, we owe these other people too. And the $50 to $85,000 a month that Mario recommended. And that's a lot of money when to me, when the state cut off the 50, and you hope we get it to 85. I know we owe them, but we owe a lot of people too. That's a lot of money a month that's going out. To Atkins.
Mario, the $50,000 bill, that was bills incurred, not payments made, right? I mean, in an ideal world, it'd be the same, but you're talking about the amount of work that we would get billed for.
It's higher, it's been higher.
It's been higher.
A lot.
The 810,000 that we have today are much more than $50,000 a month. What we're doing is going forward, trying to set it in half of $50,000 a month. Please understand, if you stop paying Adkins the money that goes to Crowder Gulf, the money that goes to KK Storm stops. It's Adkins and ACDC that is processing all this work. If we stop one, it stops the other action. This is not an easy issue.
Okay, so we have a, further discussion or more questions on the request from our administrators that we approve $300,000 payment. Just for point of information, in 18, when the RFP was put out for consultants, and Atkins was chosen, the fees were approved by FEMA. The RFP was approved by FEMA. The project management cost was approved by FEMA. The contract was validated and, has been in effect since then, so, I don't disagree at some of the numbers that you see on an invoice, but that's the, if you've seen the other RFPs, you might have said, hey, these were, you know, y'all didn't have that opportunity to see those contracts, but we chose the best one, and the fees that are approved are based on reimbursement fees that FEMA agreed to. Just for information.
Okay, thank you.
We have the contract. The people have done us a good job. We owe them. We got to still have their help in getting this done. I mean, I don't like paying out $300,000, but if you contract to do a job for somebody, and if they've been more than lenient with us for and a lot of our people have, a lot of our people go in. But we still got to move ahead. We've been able to do this without having to borrow money. We're the only municipality in this whole area that's not had to borrow money. And I think they are a big reason we not had to do it. So, if I'm allowed to make a motion now?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion, we pay Atkins $300,000 towards what we already owe.
Okay, have a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Comments?
We will get this money back, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I'm
Yes.
concerned about here.
This is a reimbursement program, yes.
Okay.
50% of it you'll get back quickly, right? It's just the remaining part is uncertain.
Or maybe more. That's right.
I will second that motion.
There we have a motion and a second. Further discussion or comment? Further discussion or comment? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy,
Yes.
Mr. Pollock,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
No.
Ms. Call,
Yes.
Mr. Key,
Do I have to move? Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Anything else on that topic before we move on? If you want to make a minor, or not be minor, but it's something that we need to make in our agenda, and we need to start adding, Lindsay, is a public comment section.
okay?
We have never, it should be part of our regular meeting. And I'm gonna, before we move to staff reports, I'm gonna ask if there's any public comment on either a project, just sort of your opportunity, if you have anything, to ask of us or comment about things in the city. Yes, sir, Rob.
Yeah, I've been asking for that for a while, you guys talking. Every place I've ever lived with the Coast Guard, all the council meetings I've been to, small cities just like this, right in the very beginning, after you open your meeting up, you have 5 minutes to make comments on anything you want that is not on the agenda. If it's an agenda item, you have to wait until that item comes up for discussion, and then that's open for public comments on an agenda item. So right away, you can walk in, you might get more people coming in here if they wanna just come in for a couple of minutes and right at the beginning of your meeting and say something, and then leave.
Didn't we used to have that?
We did, we've always had it, it should be part of your agenda. We've had it at the beginning, we've had it at the end, there's no, you don't have to have it, Robert's Rules does not say this is where it has to go. We can put it first, fourth, 10th, it doesn't matter. As long as it's on the agenda and people know that they have an opportunity to, and the comment Rock made is correct. If it's an agenda item, you defer your comments to that agenda item is open on I wanna add that, starting this meeting for a public comment section. And, if the council has a preference, we can put it where it's falling now, we can put it right after roll call or department report. Does the council have a preference?
Well, I think it should be done before, because it's, most times it's gonna be on something that's not in the meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
That's the way it used to be, I think, if I remember.
Okay, I'll put it after roll call.
Put it at the beginning, is that good with everybody? Nobody have, okay, we'll put it in even before the department report.
Okay.
Those are timed comments too, right?
3 minutes, he said 5.
Three.
So you're allowed 3 minutes. Okay, so is there any public comments now? Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And I have one comment, well, I guess I have two. The first one is, we put the parking lot up there next to, or where, Toucans was that night, which is great. But I've noticed there's a lot of motorhomes and campers pulling up there at night. They are issuing, courtesy citations right now. But it makes, then I noticed one motorhome yesterday, or this weekend, must have been worn, and he pulled off of the parking deck onto the shoulder of the road, just off of the parking lot, and camped. So I don't know if there's enough signage there or whatever, but I'm in Paradise Shores, and I see these, some of them are very nice motorhomes, some of them are kind of sketchy, but it's almost a nightly occurrence. So I just want to give y'all, I mean, the sheriff's part, they're aware of it because they show me the document.
Yeah, I think that's just gonna require, you know, it's gonna require us knocking on the door and telling them to move on.
Yeah, Tommy put some signs up down there at the parking lot and everything for the overnight parking.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, there's a sign there.
On Monday.
Oh, okay.
Well, they must not see it.
Any other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure if this is on the agenda or not. I want to talk about the post office. Is that on the agenda?
No, that's not an agenda item. It
Okay.
is not, but please identify yourself.
I'm Deladra Moorbacher, 115 15th Street. I think that the post office is something that needs to stay because it's part of the people, like I have been here for years and years and years, and so is my family, generations. This is gonna be something that's gonna be for the people that stay here all the time, not for the tourists, not for part-timers. And I have a suggestion. I live across, and I can see across to the fire department, and I realize that y'all were thinking that you're gonna tear it down or it's in the flood zone. Well, I did some research, and it actually is not in a flood zone. It's got good bones. You could refinish that. You got the bays for the post office, and I'll tell you something else. It'd be a really good multi-purpose function facility for our town. We could throw little harvest things in there in the fall. We could have, I don't know, all kinds of things. You could use it for boating, anything. So I think we should think about taking that old fire station and rebuilding it, making a post office and a multi-complex unit for our town.
That was my second, is that there is scuttlebutt about the post office being kicked out or forced out. And there is some inaccurate information, I think, that's being stated. And I brought Harry Phillips here, who owns the Space Place, to the meeting because I wanted everybody to at least have all the facts before things get way too emotional and too upset so that the post office can continue business. Yes, there's probably some stuff that needs to be done, but I'm gonna turn it over to Harry or whatever and let you all know that the post office doesn't have to leave. Harry?
I'm Harry Phillips. We've got a partnership that bought Ike's Place, I guess, back in April or so. And we're glad to be here. And I've met several of you and appreciate coming up and saying hello. It's an incredibly friendly town. We're proud to be here. And the last thing we want to do is to, we said from the beginning, to do anything that's not in the best interest of the community and our business, of course, but also when it comes to small businesses like Marty's business. That's what it is. With Mark's business, I've got to know him from, work with him,
Remember, I was here a couple of months ago, ready to get away from him.
So it's, I didn't come to make a statement, or, but I'm here to answer questions. I didn't see an article that Lisa, apparently put together a few weeks ago until maybe a few days ago, a week ago or so. I'm not the point person when it comes to all the lease arrangements and so forth, but I'm aware of what's going on, and I'm aware that we thought we had a deal worked out with Marty and his wife, and then we're just kind of have the understanding that all of a sudden, you know, we're being pinned, at least according to a few things I've read, you know, for something that really didn't occur. So I'm here to answer questions. I'll answer any questions you've got.
Well, let me just comment for myself, not the council. We have no knowledge, I have no knowledge, other than a conversation that I had with Marty. No one has come to the city, has approached the city about the post office in any kind of official capacity that I'm aware of. If they have, they haven't done it at a meeting, let me put it that way. They may have done it on the side. So, now that we're into this, I guess, how's the council, I mean, we're just taking comments, remember that's the purpose. Now we've turned this into is there, are the table aware of an issue with the post office?
I heard from a person that the post office, the city is considering doing away with some of the tennis courts and putting a post office building in. And what did I know about it? And I said, I haven't heard anything about it. I said, I don't know. I said, that sounds not true to me, but I don't know. So she was concerned.
Is there concerns? I see the post person here. Is there concerns?
I mean, are you staying?
About our post, are you staying?
What?
I'm a little bit, I think we need to.
We were just looking for somewhere else to move, that we could have a rental situation that we could afford. We cannot afford what Mr. Phillips is asking for. And we thought if we had, you know, help from the city just to have another place to put a building up, we would crowdsource a building and then move there. We're just not happy in our current situation. We don't think we're gonna be able to resolve the issue. So,
Marty, can you
if we're
come
unable
in,
if we're unable to do that, then we will just give up the contract. And it could go back up for bids, and, you know, anybody wants to bid, we have to negotiate a new contract with the postal system. And, so we have, given a notice, postal system, that we intend to, we have given a 4-month notice that we intend to give the contract. That ends at the end of April, and so either we have a resolution to the issue before that, or we'll be gone. Somebody else can come along and, you know, try to get the contract and all that. But our contract is not transferable. They would have to negotiate their own.
So you have a contract that you're trying to get them to increase and pay you more? I'm not understanding.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you've told them that they need to give you more money for you to keep the postal service here in Mexico Beach because things have gotten more expensive and
Yes, sir.
it's just cost of live, almost like a cost of living stuff.
Yeah.
And so if they don't, then you can't afford to stay where you're at.
That's it.
Okay.
So, anyway, so we said.
And you guys are not a real post office, you're a subcontractor post office.
Yes.
So, alright, so from the city perspective, other than I think it would be a fair statement that we as a city would certainly hate to lose our post office. I mean,
Yes.
that would be,
We don't want to lose it.
but I'm not sure how, what our options are. The lady, you know, I also thought about the old, not the whole complex, but just that side building, but we would just then become a rentor, a landlord, just like Marty has now, other than that we might be, I guess, maybe more lenient with a rental agreement than what he's claiming
you got till April.
Yes.
So for me, my comment is that does the city want to make an investment and potentially make an investment in a building that we would receive rent from that would house a post office? Maybe that would be, we do have a building, and obviously we would take some.
What road is that on the, what road, that's on that back road?
14th Street.
14.
And it's back on the right. back there.
We called it the meeting room for the fire department years ago. It's separated from the bay. It has nothing to do where you back your
We've
car.
got some old police cars sitting there right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's that building.
Yeah, okay. And it's not being used for anything.
It's not being used, and I was only interested in, when I went and looked at it, just the meeting part, not the whole building.
Yeah.
Not the base.
Not the base, just the side where it used to be called, they'd go in and we'd have meetings over there, they'd have, their fire training and that type of
Do
thing.
you recollect how many square feet that is roughly?
About 900, 800 to 1,000.
How many square feet you need, Marty?
1,000 square feet.
1,000 square feet.
Well, there's the meeting rooms, and then if you go around where the police department was, that's a good bit of area, storage and all that. Of course, we rent the CDC, and, the post office is a public service, really, in that sense. I wouldn't be against it,
It's,
and give reasonable rent.
it doesn't seem to be an area that would be hurt by any traffic that might be going in there, and there's plenty of room to turn around there.
Yeah, well,
We
the whole
got a
parking lot
turnaround
yeah.
there, there's a turnaround.
It's a
right
rock
there.
parkway,
Yeah.
parking lot.
Would you borrow the funds to do the renovations and then use the rent to pay the payments on that loan?
I don't know, that depends on what our people could do.
How much money, have you got money that you can put into renovating a place?
We do not.
You do not.
I have a suggestion on that too, sir. You know, let's come together. We've got enough work, all of us, on our own places that we're all like professional little contractors or whatever. So maybe we could like pay to do it, or maybe we could actually have volunteers. We can get that thing built.
Volunteers is a liability issue for the city.
I got
So,
you.
Al, you went in there, how much work is,
Well, when you think about and Marty helped me here, I'm just sort of, I'm not, I don't know what's involved inside, but you need a bathroom, and you need, the boxes and all are sort of built into the walls.
Right.
It's sort of an open space, a little office in the back and a bathroom, and the rest of it, he would,
Yeah.
it'll just be faced out with postal boxes and a counter. I mean, it's,
well, I'm talking about it, how
I'm
much
talking-
damage was done.
well, the installation is all gone, there's no air conditioning. The bathroom is there, it would need, I guess, a faucet and some, I can't, somebody could go in there and look at it and say, here, I think it would take, I don't know, $30,000. I'm just throwing a number out there, but, the parking's there, the water, the sewer's there, the shell of the building is it's not
Good, sir.
compromised, it's
Okay.
all the mold is gone, you know, from the water.
Yeah. Well, I think we ought to look into
We
it
could just
more.
look into it and see.
what are you able to pay, Marty, for rent?
Hmm?
What are you able to pay for rent? Which
Uh,
makes your business plan work without going, don't hurt us.
We could probably afford $1,000 a month.
Under your current contractual arrangement.
Yes.
And you could then have incremental, you could apply for incremental increases. I mean, the postal service has got to realize that rent doesn't stay. I mean, surely there's a way for you to, I don't know how long that takes, probably 6 or 8 months to even hear from them, I don't know.
The last time we put in for an increase, the only time we put in for an increase, it took over a year from the time we asked for it, well, we got it, we didn't get everything we asked for, we got something. And now we have another request in, but with the, current state of the postal system, I really don't think we're gonna get anything. We just
what we do have, what it might cost, and get some, why don't we do that? Marty, could you,
That sounds good to me, Al.
you know, just see what, we may have an option, we may not. How's that?
That's fine.
At least it would be under our control. And I think we have, I feel we would, if we can do something to help secure the postal service in our town, that's an obligation I'd like to pursue.
I agree.
I can tell you from conversations that I've had with people, since I sent out, the information, the community is willing to pitch in to cover as much of the cost as we can, so it's not like the city would have to absorb all of the cost. The community wants to help pay for a building. So there is enormous community interest in helping this, so it would be something that the city could tap into.
Okay, if the council agree, we will simply look at what we have, see what it might take to get it operational, and then report back.
Sounds
Is that fair enough with everybody? Okay.
Sounds good.
Yes, sir.
All right. I hate to ask, is there any more public comment? All right. And Lindsay, we're gonna move that up to
Yep.
after roll call.
I got it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Moving on to Mr. Turner.
Nothing today, sir.
Nothing today, all right. Mr. Administrator, you're up.
Nothing today, sir.
Nothing today.
I think this.
All right, moving to the table. City council members, any comments?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Good.
Sharon?
I'm good.
Thank everyone for coming. Motion
So
to adjourn.
Let's go. There you go.
These drawings are available in the conference room, I've got the trailer, Sunset Park, police, fire, civic center, and the pier. All those drawings are available in the conference room. For you guys to review at any point in time, please come see me and I'll walk through them with you.
Make sure I get it taken care of.